All right, so this is going to be my overview of my Mad Crusher. I'm going to basically tell you the mods I did to it and how I got it to this level where it's a very tough truck now and it can take a little bit of a beating, whereas before it really couldn't take much. We'll start with the wheels. Got them off of, I want to say, eBay. Got 4 of them 0 offset. So I did have to get 23mm extensions to get the wheel out far enough to turn left and right and still be able to not rub on my shock setup, which, by the way, these are the aluminum shocks with the piggybacks from Kyosho. They actually work. They have a little bleeder on top right there where you can remove that if you need to bleed them as well. You could take this off, and this does hold additional shock oil, so that's nice. I did the hot racing limiter straps to keep the travel to a minimum when it comes to the shock, so I didn't have weight pulling on them. I also did the GTB racing crossbar front and rear, and hot racing, as you can see, axle. Right here, the reason I have it set up this way is originally when I put the 4 steer on, I had an issue with every time I would get a good bump, this brace would move and it would change the trajectory of my steering. So I ended up putting on a second one and tying them together, which did stop it from going left and right, but it didn't stop it from going up and down. So I ended up tapping it with a 3mm tap on the bottom and on the top, and that took care of that. If you look down in there, you can see there's the extension in there. So yeah, you do have to have extensions when you use these wheels. Any wheel with a 0 offset on this truck, you really need an extension. So 0.26 motor, as you see right there, the 0.26 is a dynamite motor. It's worked really well for me. Very easy to break in. Great torque, great bottom, great speed. Also with the wheelie bar, I upgraded that to Kyosho's wheelie bar. You can see it has the O-rings here. The O-rings allow a little bit of give because they tie onto that knob on both sides. So when the little rubber wheel hits the ground, you have some give there. So it's not too much of a shock to the truck. For a tune pipe, I ended up doing a Hongnor Turbo 063 bottom end pipe with a square header, which gives you that pop on the bottom end, which I really like. Of course, I did my flexi cap just to add a look to it. This was hard to get. I had to order it straight from Japan. The brace, basically, it's a roll bar, but it's not the greatest. If you take a hard tumble, it tends to bend right here. The only good news is it's not that hard, so you can kind of bend it back. So it's more for looks than functionality, to be honest with you, but it just looks cool to me. I ended up putting this is actually a piece of a garden rake where I cut off the handle and just put it on here with some zip ties just to cover that top up, because I do run on concrete a lot and I didn't want it to eat through the metal when I take those tumbles, so I needed a little breaker for that. The roto start is a big go for me in this truck. I use the HPI Rotal start. When I hooked this up, it changed the whole aspect of everything because I can just hit it and it goes. I don't have to worry about breaking a pull start. I like pull starts, but I just hate the fact that they break as much as they do. So it was cool to get away from that. I did the 4-link setup from GTB Racing. Unfortunately, they only came in titanium color, and there's not really much titanium color on this truck, so I chose to use some oven cleaner in the yellow can and remove that just for looks. You can see here, this is the gas deflector. It's still got a little bit of gas coming out of there because I was actually running this very short time ago. And also, you can see here as well, I ended up moving my air intake a little bit forward. I did that to keep the heat from the motor away from the intake, to try to keep that cooler air coming, because it's all about the power, right? My 2-speed in here is a GT 2-speed, and I love this setup. It got rid of my 3rd gear, but since I'm looking for mostly torque, I don't mind it at all. and it changes gears very smooth like a buggy now. So it's not as progressive as the click system with the clutch, but you can still hear it change, and it does it every time. Also, you see my limiter straps on the front, limiter straps in the back, hot racing limiter straps as well. I also added a Venom pack, and I added a voltmeter so I could keep an idea on how much power I was running. And I added LEDs in the front just to give me some light so I can do night running as well. You can see it's a little dirty. I've been running this thing, guys, like crazy lately. What else? Oh, let's take a look under the underbelly. So I did change out all of these to, except for these. I needed a weak point, so I left this point weak and this point weak so the wheels can still pop off if it takes a hard hit. But other than that, I did change these all out to 3mm bolts with nuts to keep them secure, and I added washers just to make sure they wouldn't pop off on this side. I also took out this stock screw because the head of it was very tall and it was butting up against this 2-speed, so I had to get a low-C screw that had a flat head, and that worked perfectly, so now I'm able to run it. You can see in here, a lot of times people ask me what kind of clutch I'm running in this thing. I want to say it's a Reed's. Yeah, I'm running a Reed's clutch with 2 aluminum shoes and 2 carbon shoes, and the bite on this thing is ridiculous. As you can see here, I got my super shafty shaft, rear super shafty shaft. I tried to do a front, but I couldn't, so I had to go with the stock one for the USA 1, but it's worked great. I've had no issues with it. It's a really tight setup, guys. I beat this thing like crazy, and it's never come loose. It's never broken. Now, I got to tell you, I did actually one time have to take this off, and it's really hard because with super shafty they give you these grub screws that has this Loctite on it that is no joke, so you have to really use heat to get these out. But the good news is when you put it on, it's going to stay on for a nice long time. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I did change out the servos. My servos are high-tech servos. One on the top, I don't know if you can see it, there it is, high-tech, and a 333 ounce high-tech on the bottom. It's an older model, but it hasn't broken on me yet, so I just keep running with it. And as you know, I got the 4-way steer, so I'm really digging that. Just gives me a different aspect. I did have to file down right here and right here a little bit on these axles because these are made for the ladder style. They're not made for the 4-link system, so I had to adapt them because I wanted them black at all costs. I wanted them to stay black. I did not want a funny color under here. What else? I changed out the remote to a FS GT5. Just something to try a little different. That way I have the gyroscope if I want it, or I can turn it off. And plus I have 6 channels, so plenty of channels to play with. And let's see here. I think, oh, the Venom pack. Of course, I put a 6-cell Venom pack, or no, a 5-cell, excuse me, Venom pack in there at 6 volts. And that's about it, guys. That's what I did to build this truck. This is my Mad Crusher, one of my favorite RCs. And yeah, just wanted to share with you guys what I did to make this thing and how it is. All right, guys, enjoy your RC.